Well, well, well. What a way to end such a lopsided challenge by providing us probably the most boring race that you could possibly close this thing out with, where we will probably decimate them so horribly that their own families will no longer recognize them when they're out in public together having Mexican food. They'll just be like, I don't know who this fucking guy is. But no, he was in the Tuscan challenge. He got killed by that guy that had the blue and green car. They're like, I don't know who the fuck this person is. They followed us in the door. He was in our car, and he just decided to sit down at our table. I don't know who he is, but I'm kind of embarrassed to be sitting next to him. We don't like to associate with fucking losers, especially ones that lose to blue and green cars. We're a family that hates blue and green. Anywho. Welcome back to Let's Play some more Gran Turismo 3, the Ultimate Driving Simulators, where we totally ruin families and shit, because that's how we do things to, you know, families that do not exist in the scope of this world. But we're going to finish up the Tuscan Challenge today, and we're going to do it in a fashion that's going to be relatively quick and painless, because I have to leave and go to work in about 20 minutes, which is about the amount of time that we have. So, that is good. And, you know, what a way to close this out. I mean, I can't imagine there's going to be any sort of scenario where they make a, you know, crazy comeback where we're going to have to be warding them off, like a priest warding off evil spirits during an exorcism or something. And, yeah, unless it turns into one of those crazy situations like it was where, you know, we were basically doing that. We were playing the defensive boogaloo for about 7 or 8 laps. You remember that? It was like 75 episodes ago or whatever. I don't even remember what car we were driving, but man, that was probably one of the most exciting episodes we've had of this, in terms of actually having to use, you know, defensive driving skills. But I don't think we're gonna have anything like that. But it's all good. So I'm trying to have a nice, relaxing, non-stressful episode of this, because I like my blood pressure being normal. Which super crazy thing, by the way. So one of my coworkers, she comes into the store. Just that was a couple of days ago, and she works 2 jobs. So she works for us, and then she also works for the school district. Very highly stressful job to have, which will be further, you know, the evidence will be further driven into the pudding here in a second. So she comes in, she's like, I don't even know what she was even doing there, but so I don't really know like how this all became a thing, but she came into our store and she was just, you know, she was grabbing a couple things, and then she got a call from her doctor's office, and they're like, you should probably come in right away, because, you know, I don't know if they like got results from her blood work or something, but like we were running some tests, and your blood pressure was 210 over 100. That's fucking insane! 210 over 100! Like, that is literally, you should be having a stroke right this second as we're on the phone with you. Like, Michaela, when she had, when she was pregnant with Haley and when she went into the hospital to, you know, when she was going into labor, her blood pressure, I think, was like 180 over, it was like 180 over 100, which, like, they were saying that's like borderline, you're like, you know, pushing it with being dead here. My coworker was 210 over 100, it was like 105, and it's like, how are you alive? It's ridiculous. So, like, you need to come in, like, now, because we need to do something about you immediately. The fact that you are not, you know, convulsing like a fucking fiend right now is a miracle of modern science. Come in immediately. And so she's like, I gotta go, and, you know, I'll be in some other time, or something. And so, you know, she's okay now, but it's like, dude, good lord, man. That is all bad. So, couple things. it is definitely a couple days past Halloween now. I didn't really get to do a Halloween episode this year. There was so much going on. I didn't really have any available time to work on it, which was kind of a bummer because it's definitely probably the first time in a number of years that I can remember where I didn't do an episode on Halloween. I usually always do those. But so with that said, because it's been a little while, what did you guys do for Halloween? Did you guys do anything special? Did you go to any Halloween parties? Did you did you stay at home and hand out candy to little people? Did you hand out pieces of candy that had razors in them, or a funny picture that I saw on Twitter? Because there's always that thing like, oh, make sure and check your kids' candy. You never know if you're going to find razors in them, or you're going to find like prescription pills that somebody tried shoving inside of them and perfectly wrapping back up, because people can do that. But there's one that I saw where it's like, this shit's getting out of control. My kids went out trick-or-treating, and they went and opened up a piece of candy, and I found a whole loaded handgun in there. And it's just it was a picture of one of those little bite-sized Twix, and he like pulled it apart, and then put it, he had like a loaded handgun sitting on the counter, and he pulled a Twix apart and just put it like right on either side of it, and he's like, this shit's getting out of control. My kid's safety's at risk here. What the fuck is this? It's just like, totally playing on that whole thing. It's like, what if though? Like, what if they had like little, like, what if they had like these little like capsule things where you could like push a button and it like turns into a full size, whatever you want. It's kind of like the Jetsons where they had like those little tablets that you pour water on them and it turns into a cheeseburger. Well, it's like, what if you had a little tablet where you pour water on it and it turns into like a 50 caliber machine gun or something like that? That'd be absolutely chaotic. That'd be probably one of the worst things that could possibly happen, outside of the fact that it's awesome. But yeah. So for me, I got to go to a Halloween party downtown with Michaela. We got to dress up and do, just go and see people. So she dressed up as Negan from The Walking Dead, which was fucking awesome. She had the Louisville Slugger, and she wrapped it up in wire, and she had the leather jacket and all that stuff. I mean, Negan's one of her favorite characters. That guy is also one of her favorite actors, so it was a pretty cool thing for her. For me, I got to be Freddy Krueger. The only downside was I didn't have the right size fedora to wear, which sucked because trying to wear the one that came with the costume fucking sucked. It was like crushing my skull. And then like the freaking claw thing, it didn't really fit my hand, and so I'm sitting here wearing it, and like it was fine for every finger besides my pinky. I don't know what the hell was wrong with that, but it was like, you wear it and it's all fine, but this one, it made my pinky go like out like this. And so, you're sitting there trying to curl it, and it feels like the damn claw apparatus thing is like trying to rip off my pinky and shatter it. It was just not tight at all. Wow, that second, third, and fourth laugh are literally so remarkably close to being the exact same time. That's crazy. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was fun to be able to go, downtown and see a number of friends of ours. We saw some awesome costumes while we were there. Namely, a couple of them. I actually, for the first time that I can even think of, I actually saw somebody that dressed up like a Home Alone character. I saw somebody that actually dressed up like Harry. I wish it would have been Marv, but this guy's Harry costume was fucking awesome. It was, he had the trench coats on, and it was the iteration of Harry where it's like after he gets the blowtorch to the head when he tries to, break in through the back door. So, his little beanie thing is kind of burnt off, and his bald head is exposed or whatever, and he kind of drew in like some redness in there to make it look like he's got the burn and all that, and he's got like some bird feathers and shit that are glued to his head and on the rest of his jacket. Like, he looked really, really good. It's like I immediately gave him applause for it, and I guess like the majority of the people there didn't even know who he was. It's like, who the fuck are you people? Like, you know, the majority of the people that were there were all people that were my age, so it's like, how do you not know who this person is? I mean, Home Alone is a fucking classic in this country. How do you not know who Harry is? This is fucking ridiculous. So he walked up and he was like, he was asking us if we, you know, what we wanted to drink, and I was just like, well, before I order a drink, why the hell are you dressed up like a chicken? Or why the hell are you dressed like a chicken? And he's like, you know who I am? I was like, of course I know who you are. How the hell would I not know? He's like, you're literally the first person to know who I am. I was like, are you fucking serious? He's like, yeah. He's like, you'd be surprised how many people don't know who I am. It's weird. So there's that, but I think probably my favorite costume, my favorite tandem costume that happened the whole night were these two people that showed up. I wish I would have had a picture of it. One person came in dressed up as Nancy Kerrigan, and the other one followed in right behind her dressed up as oh god, I had her name and I lost it. It was Tanya Harding. Yeah, it's Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding, and Nancy, the person dressed up as Nancy Kerrigan comes in. She's got like an air cast on, and her makeup is all running down, and the person dressed as Tanya Harding comes walking in, you know, dressed up all, you know, country bumpkin white trash with her figure skating outfit on, carrying a fucking lead pipe. It was awesome. It was easily the most creative, you know, costume idea. For those of you that don't know that whole thing, you know, it was this whole controversial thing back in the early 90s where supposedly Tanya Harding hired a couple of hitmen to try to sabotage Nancy Kerrigan, to take her out of, you know, the running for the Olympics so that she could, you know, live in the spotlight and take the gold. And so she had some people go in, supposedly she had some people you know, go in before the competition and totally like blow out her knee. And ended up, you know, being this whole infamous deal with her boyfriend Jeff Gillooly and this hitman that he hired. They went in and they totally just beat the living shit out of her with this lead pipe and you know, messed up her knee and all this. And like the classic thing that was on TV was you know, Nancy's like basically like curled up on the floor, reduced to nothing, and her makeup is running down her face while she's still wearing her outfit, and she's just going, why? She's like holding her knee, and she's got all these trainers that are like crowding around her trying to help her, and you know, Tanya is just like, you know, well, whatever. You know, totally denying that it ever happened. They made a documentary about that whole saga of things, and it was really interesting. But seeing that in Halloween costume form, because I've never seen that before, was fucking funny. So yeah, it was really good. But yeah, so we got to do that. I got to just hang out and, you know, really do that. Was really kind of the first time in a little while that I've gone to any sort of you know, Halloween party in a public setting like that. So it's cool. But this year, we went and visited my grandma over at the care facility for a while because she wanted to see Harrison, you know, dressed up in costume for his very first Halloween. So he dressed up like Jack Skellington for part of the day at least. We had two different costumes for him. He was an owl for you know, for part of his first costume. He was walking around, you know, we had him dressed up like an owl, and he also had a little Tootsie Pop in his hand, and so he ended up being Mr. Owl from the Tootsie Pop commercials. And so we were doing that whole thing, but then he was also Jack Skellington for another portion of it. Oh shit, these people they're actually catching up to me. Oh no. Dude, this is not good. How have they made up so much ground on me? Oh my god. This could be interesting. Oh my, dude, this could be interesting. Oh, okay, never mind. I was looking at the diagram the wrong way. I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. Like, are these people actually catching up? That's definitely not the case. Everybody's actually amazingly just riding on their own asses. What the hell? You mean to tell me not a single person has broken away from the pack? It's all, I mean, it was all like they were just like glued to each other. That was weird. No, it was actually, we were just gonna pass them. Okay, I thought they were like gaining on me like really quickly. That was weird. So yeah, we had Harrison all dressed up. He didn't go trick-or-treating because it ended up being kind of rainy and cold and gross, and so we didn't want him to go out and get sick. But we went and visited my grandma for a while, which her health is rapidly declining, by the way. We're kind of looking like right at the end stage of things. My parents went and visited her last night, but her heart's failing like really bad now. She's gained like 40 pounds of water weight, so like all the edema is really bad. And she's, you know, her confusion and like dementia is accelerating really badly, and she doesn't know where she is, and she keeps trying to. She's kind of at that stage where we, like, right before we had her move into this facility, where, you know, she's trying to say that she wants to, you know, she wants to go home and see her family, but she, you know. And so it's like a thing where we kind of think that she's delirious and thinks that she's in Stockton, California again and not actually here. And she can't walk on her own anymore because all the edema is so bad that she can't really, you know, walk properly. And it's not good. So we're kind of right at the end part of that. And so my mom came home last night from that, and she was just devastated. So it could be any time at this point with the way this is, you know, progressing or regressing, however you decide to look at it. So that's a thing. So it's pretty sad to think about. But at least we can say one of her last coherent memories, if she's really kind of deteriorating like this, she got to see Harrison on his very first Halloween, and she really enjoyed that. That was one thing that, in a moment of coherency, she was able to remember that happened, and she was really happy about it. So that was really cool. But one thing that I got to do this year, during the month of October at least, for Halloween, was I watched more horror movies this month, than I think I ever have in my whole life. Because, like, normally, you know, during October, obviously it's horror month, and so, you know, you want to watch some scary movies, you know, every once in a while. But I watched a shitload of them. I mean, I was watching another horror movie basically like every day. I can try to list off like all the different ones that I watched, at least as best I can, but I mean, I watched, let's see, Halloween 1, 2, definitely not 3, because that one doesn't even fucking count. That one's just awful. But I watched Halloween 1, 2, 4, 5, I think, let's see, H2O, I watched, let's see, Resurrection, I think it was, and then I watched Nightmare on Elm Street. It was like 1, 2, 3, Wes Craven's New Nightmare or something like that. I watched Saw 1 through 4. I watched Friday the 13th. I watched a few of those. I watched The Exorcist 1 and 2. I watched Poltergeist. I watched a horror movie called The Vatican Tapes that I told you guys about. I watched, let's see, The Crazy. And like this will include like psychological horror movies and like some sci-fi thrillers and things too. But I watched like The Crazies, and I watched like Starship Troopers. I watched Prometheus. I watched Alien Covenant, Aliens. I watched let's see, Alien vs. Predator, Requiem, the one that's really shitty. I watched, let's see, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I watched, oh god, I have a list of them on somewhere of a lot of other ones that I watched, but I watched just this huge, just sprawling list of all these different horror movies that I usually never have the kind of time for that sort of thing. And then I also watched like copious episodes of Ghost Adventures, because they were doing the Graveyard of the Pacific series, which is another set of episodes that they were doing here in Oregon, up in Astoria. So another kind of close to home thing that I got to check out. And then there was also the Ghost Adventures like 4-hour live Halloween special, which I got to watch a little bit of that, where they were like, he was going to be opening the Dybbuk box, which is like one of the most haunted artifacts in the world. So I didn't get to see that part of it, but the very first part of that special, he was like going through some different haunted artifacts in his museum. And the very first one that he did was this haunted doll called Lily that he bought. He actually bought it, I believe it was after he did his Enchanted Forest episode here in Salem. While he was here, he went into downtown Salem and went to this little antique shop that's right across the street from where Michaela's mom works. And he bought this haunted doll from, you know, the owner of the antique shop. It was from this little place like right downtown. So it was really cool. And he even sees like, I bought it from a little antique shop in Salem, Oregon. I was just like, what the fuck? And Michaela was like, yeah, I know. I actually knew the person who owned that store that had that doll. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, it was pretty cool. This was definitely a year where I got to enjoy watching a lot more horror and scary and psychological thriller stuff than what I normally do. The list of things that I watched was so much longer than what I told you, but it's still pretty early in the morning and I can't remember all of it. Ooh, a Griffith 500. I like those. Those things are pretty cool. So, my friends, it is 9:35. I've got 25 minutes to get to jump in the shower, get dressed, and get to work, so I'm going to have to head out here. But I'm really happy that I got to go in here today and finish up this challenge. We are now... Whoops. I'm not trading. Yes, please plug in your game pack. Dun, 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 dun. Your little cable that they used to have for the huge ass Game Boys, the little data transfer cable. All right, 58.7% up to 89% win ratio. Not bad. Still crazy that we've lost 29 races. Oh well, what do you do? So, my friends, we're going to stop right here. When we come back on the next installment of Let's Play Gran Turismo 3, the Ultimate Driving Simulator, we will move on to the next challenge. And it'll be awesome. We'll have more things to talk about. I still have to tell you guys about the haunted house experience that we went to, because we went to a couple haunted houses also, and I didn't have enough time to talk about it, but that was its own experience, and we will expound on that the next time that I have time to do it. So, until then, this is your host, LovelyCheesePizza, saying thank you guys for watching, but I gotta go take a shower. So take care. Have a good one. Bye.